All right. We are live. Welcome back to the next round of Pop Up Summit sessions. We are so excited to have Jennifer Dorian Shepherd back. You may remember her last year and her wonderful presentation on resilience. She's back with us this year, speaking about staying in power when life doesn't go as planned, because that never happens. So Jennifer has started Live. All right, dogs. Hang on, settle. The storm is kicking up again. If y'all remember last year, we had to get off several times because of lightning actually touching down in my front yard. So it's storm season again. I'm thinking I should change the month we do this to something. We also have fall weather season, so whenever the weather changes, spring and fall, it doesn't matter. So, but anyway, stop. Anyways, I was saying, live, lead, positive. That is Jennifer, and she's here today to speak with us. So I am just going to let her come on and speak so that she has time, because the storm is whipping up once again, and we don't want to have that same issue we had last year. So, Jennifer, I'm just going to bounce off and let you speak because it is clouding up
Okay.
again, and I want to make
Okay.
sure you can
Well,
finish.
I'm going to be setting up a little prayer for you, and you are the poster child of trying to just keep going when things don't go as planned, and you do such an amazing job of that. So, thank you so much. And just to give everyone a little bit of background on me, Jen Shepherd. I have been in the real estate industry working on the title and escrow side for over 30 years. And I've also just always been so passionate about helping people, developing people, and creating positivity in both life and leadership that I started Live Lead Positive a couple of years back. And that is focused on inspiring people to lead their lives with intention, resilience, and positivity. Because if there is one thing that I have learned in all the years that I've been on the earth, it's that life almost never goes as planned. And today, I just want to share a few simple but powerful ways to stay grounded and in your power when it doesn't go as planned. So, this talk comes at a great time. 2 days ago, I bought a washer and dryer. I wasn't planning on buying a washer and dryer on Sunday. I was planning on buying one over Memorial Day when the Memorial Day sales hit, and had been planning that for quite some time. But on Sunday, my dryer died and my plans changed. And so it wasn't convenient. I definitely had other plans for what I wanted to do with my Sunday. I was going to work on this talk for everyone here, and I was going to uh, spend a little bit of time learning how to use my new sewing machine, housework, all the things. I had a very full, intentional list. And nowhere on that list did it say, hey, spend 2 hours researching washers and dryers, going back and forth with my husband, debating this or that. What do we need? Things that we'd had on a list but hadn't really written down, and pulling the trigger on a major purchase. So life just had other plans for my day. And in that moment, I had a choice. I could stay in my power, because this isn't just about a washer and dryer. We all have moments, big and small, and we have to make a choice, kind of right then and there. I have a coworker whose mom called him 6 weeks ago and couldn't feel her leg. And now, 6 weeks later, he's navigating home health care, rearranging his entire schedule, driving his parents to her doctor's appointments, and trying to help his parents figure out what next steps look like. I have another coworker who had planned an amazing fun weekend with her grandkids and woke up Saturday sick as a dog. So her husband had to step in, and she spent the day making trips back and forth to the restroom instead of getting to do what she had planned for the weekend. Another coworker, my coworkers just give me a lot of material, as does my own life, just got a phone call from her daughter's school last week that her daughter's art teacher had passed away suddenly before school from a heart attack in his 50s, completely unexpected. So you console the people, you help the parents, you pivot and spend the day in bed instead of the way that you originally planned. I'm sure there's something that happened to you, if not today, recently, that felt like it could take you off track. And there's no waiting, there's no preparation. This is just life. So, big moments, little moments, all of them remind us of the same thing. And that's that we are not in control, except for one thing. And that one thing is the choice we make in those moments. If I'm really honest, there have been moments in my life where I didn't respond the way that I wish I would have. Moments where I reacted instead of taking that pause, where I let frustration get the best of me. And I remember how that felt. And so I've really been consciously working on navigating the pause and making sure that I take that deep breath, have that gut reaction and let it go, and and understand that letting it take your power away is just going to feel heavy and draining. And that's why it matters so much to me that this isn't about getting it perfect, but it is about not letting it stop you. So, just some things to share on that. It's about catching yourself sooner, choosing differently, and coming back to who you want to be in the middle of it. And some of you may have been on for my talk last year where I talked about resilience. And at that time, I offered 3 keys that I still think are incredibly important. And those keys are grace, grit, and growth. They're not steps because resilience isn't a 3-step program, but they are tools that you can reach for depending on where you're feeling right then. So, grace was the first thing that showed up Sunday. It had to be grace for the situation, grace for myself. There was no one to be mad at, there was no one to blame, not even me. It just was something that happened. And it gave me enough pause not to spiral as the day that I envisioned kind of swirled away. Grace is that moment where you remind yourself, this isn't how I planned it, but it's going to be okay. And then grit was the decision. Grit is where you get to work. You get online, you do the research, you check all the stores, you read all the reviews, you do all the things, you take those steps, one step after the other to move forward and get away from that stuck and powerless feeling. And even just by doing that one little thing, that that's the grit. That's the getting traction and saying, okay, this is happening. Now what? And figure out what that one little now what is going to be. It's not dramatic, not perfect. It's just the next step. And then growth. So, growth is even 2 days later, having the perspective of, I knew the dryer was on its last legs. I knew it was just a matter of time. And this decision had been weighing on me for a long time, trying to figure out what to get and when to get it and all of that. And now, hopefully, tomorrow they'll actually deliver it and everything will work out. Now I don't have to give that any more mental energy. Now that's in the past, and I can focus on all of the other things that I do have planned and that I do want to do. The sewing machine is still going to be there. The housework is definitely still going to be there, and it's going to get done when it gets done. even if I wasn't at that point yet, because this was a minor first world problem. Even with the heavy things, I just want you to know they're not going to last forever, especially if you keep moving through them one step at a time. So there's something, though, that's a new ingredient on top of what I thought last year, because I read a book in March that changed a core tenet that I've been preaching for 30 years. And what I've said for 30 years is hope is not a strategy. Because when things don't go as planned, people would say, I hope, fill in the blank. And I would counter with, hope is not a strategy. And then I read Nir Eyal's new book, Beyond Belief, which was a light bulb moment for me on that when he talked about hope. And that led me to another book that is actually called Hope is the Strategy. And taking those two works into consideration, I have some slides. I'm not using them, but they're available. If you are interested, you can email me and I'll be happy to send them to you, that basically turn that thought upside down. Because I've seen people say, I hope, without action and without any movement, just waiting. And that kind of hope does keep you stuck. But recently, reading those two books and really diving into what hope can be, I realized maybe hope isn't the problem. Maybe the way we're using hope is. Because hope isn't passive, it's something you engage with, it's something you reach for. It's not sitting back and saying, I hope this works out. It's asking, I hope that things will get better. What can I do to move forward? And hope becomes powerful the moment it becomes active. And so to me, that all kind of came together and clicked, because you can have grace, you can have grit, and you can have growth from the experience. But if you have hope and you're moving in that hope, that's your energy. That's your fuel. That's the cord drawing you forward. That's lighting your way. It's not the light at the end of the tunnel, it's the light that you carry with you as you move through the tunnel. And that was just a super powerful realization for me that I had not taken into consideration before. And I wanted to share that with all of you because it feels like the missing piece. And it feels like how resilience can work and makes it very real for me. So I hope that, and I'm using that word again, but I really do believe that those four things working together can make a difference and can fuel your resilience. So Sunday didn't go as planned, and my day took a complete detour, but it's okay. And now I'm here, I'm giving this talk, I'm sharing with you, and I've come through the other side. It was just funny that the universe delivered that experience to me right on time in order to be able to really just have something fresh to share with you. And this could happen tomorrow, and things will happen. I think the funny thing is when we kid ourselves and think that everything is going to go our way, and the faster that you can grab onto those tools, give yourself the grace, find the grit, embrace the growth, and hold on to the hope, the more powerful you will feel, and you can get back to living your life. And to me, that's a gift. So life will always interrupt your plans, but it doesn't have to take your power. You can meet it with grace, You can move through it with grit. You can grow for it, and hope can light the way. Just enough hope to take the next step. So, where in your life is something not going the way you thought it would go? And what would it look like to meet it with intention instead of reaction? I hope that these few words have resonated with you, have stirred something within you, and have given you some tools the next time that your life doesn't go the way as planned. And thank you so much for letting me come back and share with you again. I am easy to find on Facebook under Jennifer Dorian Shepherd. On Instagram, I'm Jen M. Shepherd. And I have started the Live Lead Positive Substack, where I write about things like this and other things that help you to both live fully, lead with your heart, and come alive. And I would love for you to find me on Substack and subscribe. That's really all I have to share today. But if you've got questions or thoughts, I'd love to hear.
Well, I always have questions because, I've been following you for a long time. And yes, as you said, I am the queen bee of resilience because nothing ever goes the way I plan.
Yep.
That's how
You could
that's
give
how
this
this one
talk 10 times over.
is. But I've always wondered because resilience is your thing. We all of us that are out there helping that's become our mission in life is to help others. We all seem to have that thing that we want to help them do. Mine right, is helping you find your voice because after a lifetime of being ignored as a female and as a, let's just say, how's it putting that? I grew up on the wrong side of town. How's that? Okay.
Okay.
So after a lifetime of not being taken seriously in so many ways, helping women find their voice has become my thing, and I can give the whole story. Resilience is yours, and I've always wondered what triggered that for you. Why has resilience become your call?
I think it's just partly because things never seem to come easy. You know, you see those people that just seem to breeze through life and everything just falls into place. And I actually, though, had a friend tell me once that I live a charmed life. And it was so funny to hear that from somebody outside thinking that I lived a charmed life. And because I felt like, oh my gosh, I made this mistake, or I had this thing happen, or I had to deal with this. And I realized that it was kind of a superpower for me. And for a long time, I called it just being positive. But there's a lot of toxicity that can be associated with being positive all the time. And so I dug a little deeper and realized that I had a power of bouncing back that I'd had to create over years of dealing with life and everything that it comes up. And a lot of people that I talk to, that I work with, that I am friends with, it's not that they give up easier, but they're faster to feel just so depleted and so unsure and lacking in that hope or that feeling that they do have the power to make a difference. And I think that's why I just felt like my contribution could be helping people find that power to bounce back, the desire to bounce back, and knowing it's there, and it just has to be practiced and uncovered and done.
So I don't. Is it something you learned? Because I know for myself, like last year, we dealt with 5 days of weather here, weather across the country, apparently. Because if you remember, we had speakers that suddenly weren't able to connect because they had no power in their part of the country. because they were having snowstorms that had taken out the power. So we spent 5 days of impromptu sessions and
Right.
rescheduling at the drop of a hat. And then this year, the entire premise for the summit suddenly got upended, but I didn't want to cancel it. I'd already started promoting it. So now we're doing it this way. But I know for myself, if this had happened even a couple of years ago, I would have just thrown in the towel and said, yeah, okay, summit, not going to happen. I'm not meant to do this. And I can't look back and say there's anything that changed how I feel about it. So is it something that just how do you learn resilience? Do you teach yourself resilience? Do you just finally say, I'm
I think
tired of rolling over, I'm going to do it anyway? What?
I think all the things, because a lot of people feel like just because they didn't have that one big crazy event that they had to come back from, that they haven't had to learn resilience. But life is an exercise in resilience, and every experience you go through can shape the possibilities for what is possible, what you can do. And so I do think you learn it just by saying, I'm not going to let it keep me stuck. You hear so many people that give up because they ran into an obstacle. And I just, I think I said this last year too. I always remember the thing from Blue's Clues about, hey, if you can't go through it, you've got to go around it or under it or over it, and it's just knowing what you want and knowing that it's okay to want that and be trying to figure out different ways to make that happen, because often the first way that you try isn't going to be the path. And if you want your life to look different, you have to put in some work and practice that. So I haven't had any big dramatic things to cut my resilience teeth on, but I've had a million small to medium things. And so have most people. So I don't know if a tornado just buzzed into town. We'll just wait. There, you're
There
back.
you are. I was just saying, and here we go. Speaking of resilience,
Here we
here we go.
go. Another opportunity to pivot. I mean, I think that's the most recent example for many of us is the complete upheaval of all of our lives of the COVID-19 shutdown that we went through, where we had to really embrace whole new practices in work and in life of getting through every day, that as a world we had to experience that. But we all have those million little things all the time that give us the opportunity to practice.
Some days I wish I didn't have to practice quite so often.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah. Sometimes you just look up and you say, haven't I learned enough lessons? Can I have a few days without learning any lessons? Can I have a few days without having to practice being resilient? But you just have to, it's just that one step at a time, and making sure that you do look around occasionally and pat yourself on the back and give yourself a round of applause for how far you've come and the good things that have happened because of you and because of the people you're friends with and because of the choices you've made, that there is a lot of joy and blessings in there too. They could just get buried under all the chaos sometimes.
that's all I've learned from all of this is, you know what? And maybe it's an age thing. I think that does have a lot to do with it, to be honest, because I'm knocking on the front door of 70 right now, and you know, things that mattered when I was 20 and 30 and 40, and I'm looking back going, not that important. other people's opinion of me, not that important. Because my opinion of me, my family's opinion of me matters a lot. People that I don't know and might not even have anything to do with tomorrow, your opinion of me, not so much. Okay. And I don't mean like I don't take, I don't take others people's, it's a good way to put that.
It is,
There are people, right?
and it could be an age thing. I think one of the things that I work towards and hope for and practice is you shouldn't have to wait till you're knocking on the door of 70 to have that perspective. And I think the younger you can get that perspective, the younger you can find that inner strength and not worry about people and feel like you have the ability to bounce back, the better for everybody. And so part of, when I'm talking to my niece, when I'm talking to my kids and everything, just trying to instill that earlier. And you do see that if you look for it, that there are people that are navigating those choices now that are not getting weighed down by expectation and getting stuck in a box and letting life knock them, not getting knocked down and not getting back up. And I just want to see more and more of that.
Yeah, and I think that's what I mean. It's not that I don't care, that I don't want people to
Right.
to think I'm kind of rude, but
Oh, no.
I know there are people out there right now because I've already heard it about my podcast. Well, it's not very professional, and you don't have this an intro, and you shoot it out of your office, and sometimes your office looks like and it's like, and you don't have a backdrop, and you don't have this, and you don't have that, and it's not produced. And it's like, no, it's not. That's the whole point. Okay. It's
That is
not
the
produced.
whole
It's
point.
a real conversation with real people. And a year ago, that would have bothered me. And then I've noticed that, in spite of the fact that it's not heavily produced and I don't have all the bells and whistles, it's just me and my laptop and a guest, and we just talk. My audience keeps growing. So I'm
Right.
hitting
Because how
somebody.
many people want to have a podcast and maybe they've bought the fancy equipment, maybe they've got the rooms all set up, but there's still something that is holding them back from taking that next step and actually doing the thing. And I think that's the thing that both you and I have learned is that doing the thing is where the good feelings come and where the payoff is, not talking about it, not trying to make it perfect, but doing it and living it and embracing it makes all the difference. And that too is one aspect of resilience, just shaking off the imperfections and just pulling the trigger. And so many people get paralyzed and won't do it.
And that's why I always try to have you come on and talk, because if it had not been for, well, I'm just Joey's going to speak. You'll all get to meet her. But if it had not been for Joey, who looked at me and said, "Do you have a laptop?" Yes. "Do you have a microphone?" Yes. I didn't even have a good one at the time, but I had one. Says, "Do you have access to YouTube or Zoom or something?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Do this. Get
Yeah.
on the thing, open the laptop, open the Zoom, record the conversation, drop it on Spotify, drop it on YouTube, hit the publish button. You have a podcast now." Okay. If it hadn't have been for her, I'd still be sitting here going, "I can't do this." So I really
And you
hope
have
that,
a podcast and you have a community and you're holding your second summit and there's a tornado warning and you're doing it anyway. And I love that about you and everything you've built with the Rebel Tribe. And that's why every time you ask me to chat, I'm like, yay, I get to chat again because I just have so much admiration for everything that you've accomplished. And you're doing an amazing job.
well, that's why we keep having you back, because I keep hoping that if you keep talking, the women that are sitting out there going, what if somebody says, "Well, that's not very professional looking"? Who cares? Okay. Who cares? 10 years from now, are you going to look back and go, "Well, I didn't start my podcast because it wasn't very professional looking"? Or are you going to go, "I started it and it grew"? And now I've got this amazing community of women behind me and around me that support me all the time. 10 years from now, I'm going to look back and say, I have so many wonderful women that I've met because Joey said, record it and hit publish, and you're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't have to be perfect. I think if people can just remember that, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to do it. And it will get better, you know, but it never has to be perfect because we're all real people trying to live real lives with real problems. And having that community and people to talk to and learn from is definitely more important than how professional it looks.
Well, I love the fact that you're here and you're going to be part of our panel discussion that's coming up. For those of you that are following, wondering what's coming up next, Jennifer will be part of the panel discussion on the cost of always being the strong one. Because unfortunately, that is sometimes comes with resilience. You are the strong one. And while we pat ourselves on the back and congratulate ourselves for always being the strong one, it does
Right.
sometimes come with a cost. So we have a panel of amazing women that are going to speak on that topic, and I can't wait for that. That's going to be
Yeah.
amazing,
Women
and
have been
hopefully,
the strong ones for centuries. When I was majoring in history and focusing on early American history and seeing the lives of women in revolutionary and colonial times who were doing all the things while their husbands were gone for months at a time. We have a strong legacy here of always being the strong one. And I know it goes back centuries before that throughout the world. So I'm excited to be a part of the panel and look forward to that. And just thank you again for having me on.
well, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us, and I appreciate it so much.
All right. Well, good luck with the weather and the rest of the summit. And again, if you look for Live Lead Positive on Substack, that's where I write. And my email is posted on there, and I'd love to hear from you.
Thanks, Jennifer.